Happy Monday, happy second week of June. It's so good to see you, y'all. Team Jennifer is reunited. We're back. We're back together. You have Jennifer Ogilvy, myself in front of the camera, and then Jennifer Krippner is popping on to give you a wave. She is finally home. This is her big travel season with her real job, and so she gets to be home for a few days. But she is my bud, one of my buds this week because she's coming to Dallas and I get to have breakfast with her on Thursday. And I'm so stinking excited to see her in real life. So, yeah, Team Jennifer's with you today. And we're just both glad that you have carved out this time to be intentional with your journal. I saw Nicole was here and I laughed. I thought, oh, yep, our teachers are on summer break. So maybe that you are hanging at home for the summer if you're an educator. So anyhow, it's really good to see you. And yeah, Zoom did an update, and I understand that Android, it might be a little trickier for Android, but Zoom, the most recent update allows you, like on my laptop, you can hover over people's names. You get three little dots, and then you are able to like either leave a emoticon or a comment to that comment. But it has to be the most recent um, Zoom update. And I'm that's as techie as this girl gets. So that's all I can share. But you might want to go investigate and make sure, check with Zoom, log in and ask. They can actually, you can do like, do I have the latest update? And it'll tell you. So yeah, that's kind of a fun thing. Anyway, it's really, really great to see you. Some of you may be returning. I had all three setups this weekend due to some schedule swapping and necessary items that needed to happen for folks. So I'm glad to be with you. And let's just get going. I said, let's pick one little cute icon over there, and then we'll swipe over and find out what your self-care activity needs to be this week. And maybe you can incorporate that into your weekly setup. Do you need a nature walk, a solo dance party, maybe catch up with a loved one? You can take all of these. There's no limit. Oh, Nicole, you get to treat yourself. I love that. It's always good to treat yourself. All right, friends. So, a couple of housekeeping announcements. We've been sharing this information with you for a couple of weeks, but if you are not doing Silk and Sonder coaching, Mayha would like for you to take this little mini spin, a little test drive, and then give feedback because she's always interested in the experiences that you have with the Silk and Sonder product line. And she wants to know if anything feels confusing, if there's anything you think would make it better. And her email is meha@silkandsonder.com. And Jennifer has dropped that in the chat, so you could go grab that. Two more little announcements. We have this pardon me, 7-day clarity reset challenge. And it is going to be under 10 minutes a day, led by Meha. I believe it's an on-demand situation. So you'll get something pushed to you each day. And it is a pay as you feel what is right for you. Like if you are needing some clarity, check your emails. There's a lot of information contained in those emails, but this is your reminder. That starts on June 16th and it aligns nicely with this event that is also on June 16th in the evening, that mid-year reset. And friends, this is always such a good event, such a good time to sort of take a look at what like the first 6 months have brought your way. We set all our things at we always say New Year's resolutions, but there is a vibe to a fresh year and embracing some new things. And it's time to now let's take a look. Where are we? How is that working for us? Is there anything that maybe life has changed? My life had a big hiccup since January. And so it's sort of thrown me for a little bit of a loop. And so it's time to stop and go back over what I had hoped for this year and what I want to hope for the future. So, this is a free event. Jennifer just shared that link. You'll want to sign up for that. And if you can't make it because you have a conflict, summer is kind of cuckoo with all the things going on. Please still sign up because then you will get that email immediately like, go watch this. Here's the recording, here's that direct link, and you'll have all that information. So it doesn't hurt to sign up, even though you might have a conflict that night. But I always love when Mayha leads something because she's so excited about her baby, and I love when she shares that passion with us. There are those community guidelines that we share when we are together. We do create these spaces for one another, so we want to keep them positive and respect each other, respect no bullying, of course, and respect privacy. We always say what happens in Sonder clubs stays in Sonder clubs. Um, and again, that reminder that this is about you and your time, and but then also just hanging and being supportive of one another. Many of you like to come kind of get going on your setup, but you spend a lot of time engaging with each other. We have this like-mindedness as a Sonder community, and so we take advantage of that when we are together. I will ask if there's anybody here for the first time, please drop a me in the chat. We would love to give you a Monday morning welcome. And then just a big welcome to all of you who are returning, as well as anybody who might be catching this on our replay on the YouTube channel. So, of course, I love this theme. We have been doing some deep work this past few months, and flow just sort of helps us, like reset. Like, let's just chill a little bit and have a little bit of fun. This I love this theme, but I also love July's theme. So they're both a little lighter, a little more fun. And I've been using this graphic because truly flow is a sweet spot. It is when you find your sweet spot. And it's a balance of if you're feeling challenged and using your skills, whatever that looks like. It could be a hobby, it could be in your work, it could be, hanging out with the people that are in your life. If what you're doing is nothing but challenging, and you're not bringing anything to the table with it. I use the example of going skiing. 30 something years ago, we went skiing. It was going to be our thing, my husband and me. And he got on his skis and he was like, "Oh, this feels kind of like I'm skateboarding." And he got right into it. And I was completely challenged, over challenged, fell off everything, couldn't get going, hated the class, hated being on skis. And I realized that was all a challenge for me. I had no skills. I hate skiing. Apologies to those of you who love it. And all it did was cause me anxiety. It was crazy. Whereas my husband saw it as a challenge, but he also could bring some skills. It connected with his body. He loved it. He found his flow. It was his thing. Um, if you're only using skills on repeat over and over again without any kind of a challenge to your heart or your soul, then you become bored, right? The beautiful thing about flow, it's when those things come together. So I'll be keeping this graphic up. I think it's a good visual for us. I'm also going to be sharing this. This is the 8 components of flow. All we think, oh, flow is just finding your space, but there's a lot that happens for that to come together, to converge. It needs to be self-rewarding. It's not about jumping through hoops for anybody else. It's how it makes you feel. You've got to have clear goals and immediate feedback. And so I think that's so important because we set those goals every single week. It needs to balance that challenge and skill, like I was talking about. And you need to have this sense of control over it, right? A little bit of control. It merges action and awareness. It involves focus, concentration, and loss of self-consciousness and time distortion. I always say it's kind of like Silk and Sonder time when we're together. It's that distorted time, like, oh my gosh, how has an hour already passed? So those things, when they converge, mwah, you are in your flow. So I love it. Anyway, we'll be sharing that one too. So, our morning is our flow mind map, week number one. We have four prompts this month. So, you'll set your journal up for four different prompts. I will show you how I did mine. I kind of incorporated the idea of flow. We're going to do our Rosebud Thought Reflection. Then, we're going to do weekly setup pages, and it's a little different. I just thought I'm going to change things up just this week. I'll go back to kind of the normal flow of things for next week, but we're going to do something a little different. All righty. So, your mind map, you're invited to do this in a blank space in your journal, either a notes page. I use that last notes page. Some folks like to repurpose their expense tracker or another page they're not using. Maybe you go look I was saying the coloring page. Someone did their acrostic on the coloring page. And I thought, oh, there's enough space in those corners. If you write small, you could do your mind map there. Maybe a sticky note, maybe your weekly scratch pad. You'd go from week to week with each question. So you decide what you want to do. We will need four spaces reserved for this. Some folks like to trace around something to create space. This month I made like I'm going to show you mine. And we're going to be peeling back layers of flow and what that looks like. So here are our 4 weeks. Week one is current flow. Next week, we're going to talk about breaking from the flow. It's an interesting question. Week three is around the flow, and week four is in the flow. And our question that's a great idea, Nicole. Yeah, that meaningful idea of using a flow chart and doing the diamonds. Good call. Um, the question we're looking at this week is if my energy moved like water, where would it naturally want to flow right now? So I have some thoughts for you, and you might want to take a look at that beautiful poem in the upper right corner. But before you answer this question, something that might help you dig into it is to visualize yourself standing beside the river of your very own energy. Like, do this check, right? Where does it want to go? And you gotta figure out what you notice about where you are right now. And then another question you could think about is if I stopped forcing my energy in a particular direction, where would it naturally flow? And what might happen if I trust that movement? And then one more thing to consider is like, where is my energy already flowing with ease and aliveness? And like for you educators that are on summer break, like you might be feeling so different this morning, right? As you're like, oh, summer. So your flow might look different than it looked like, in say April. So let's think about how can you linger there a little bit longer. So I'll share my mind map with you. And I was at our family cabin this weekend. And so as I was working on this, I had this literal um, thing to look at that ended up making me realize it's kind of how I'm feeling. So, we have a family cabin. It's not quite on a lake. It's Lake Buchanan, but we're actually on a creek. And Texas has been in a drought. So the picture you see on the left is our dry creek, and if you kind of look in the bottom left corner, that's like a patio down by the water, but it's really been dry. This was August of 2024. And 1 year later, August of 2025, you can see that lake is full. It is full, it is flowing, there is water. Unfortunately, when we are in a drought situation and that creek dries up, something pretty significant has to happen for us to get refilled with water. And y'all may remember last summer, Central Texas had horrific floods. National news. We lost campers at a girls' camp, communities. Um, like Kerrville was just devastated. People just lost their homes. They just went down into the water. So something really tough happened for us to end up with that creek filled again. So very sad. So, but as I'm sitting there, yeah, the analogy for me, I'm sitting there and thinking about this question. Y'all all know I lost my best friend brother, Greg, at the end of March. And so I've just been on this grieving journey, as many of you have experienced grief. And so I answered this question. I feel like my energy is a bit like our creek. It's been a little evaporated and there hasn't been much movement as of late. It's very stagnated. However, fresh rains, new perspective on a new normal are refilling the creek and giving it life again. The creek is waking up and returning to a gentle flow, finding its way back, changed for the future. And so that's where we find hope. And so that's just what spoke to me. So I know it's very ooh, but it's just like when I was pulling, I thought I need to talk about this creek, and then it just how it fit in with where my flow is and what I'm seeing as I'm figuring things out. So yeah, I did my little flow sections to write in this week. So I hope maybe that will inspire somebody if you're not sure where to go. But anyhow, let's start working on this. I'm giving you about 5 minutes so that you have time to set your page up and start your reflection on where flow fits in your world this week. right. If you didn't get this finished, remember, there's no time limit on this. It'll get done when you get done. And hopefully you were able to kind of start thinking about setting up your page and also doing this check with yourself, like where am I right now with that energy and how it's moving like water. And some of you said it feels a little bit like a little trickling creek, and others of you felt like, there's a dam there just holding that water back. And like when will it get like released? And so I love the idea of using the analogy of water. Water is so important to our life. As Allison pointed out, it is World Ocean Day, right, Allison? Let's see. I'm going back through the chat, but yeah, it's so yeah, we've got, water is the most of the earth is made up of water. We're made up of water. So when we think about flow through this analogy, it's pretty good. So let it keep bouncing around in your head. Answer as things come to you. Have it sort of top of mind this week, and then we'll be ready for next week when we look at exploring this idea of break from the flow. All righty, so now it's time for our rosebud thorn reflection for the first week of June. What did last week bring you? That this is going to be found on page 30. And we look at the things that maybe were challenges, difficulties, things that didn't go well, things that caused anxiety or stress, maybe things that were out of our control. That's going to be our thorns. And of course, the buds are the things that we are looking forward to, the things that are giving us hope. It could just be brand new week, maybe something new you're going to try. And then those roses are the things that we're celebrating, and they can be the slightest glimmers. Maybe you took time to notice things that you've just taken for granted. And so that could go there. My rose and my thorn are the same thing. It was Camp Grand Happy last week. And so we had several spend the nights, have the kids all day, 8, 5, 3, busy kids. Their mom and dad took a little much needed break, and it left us pretty darn tired. But oh my gosh, the core memories for the grandparents that we made were amazing. And then my bud is all about the gals in my life. Jennifer Krippner is in Dallas for a meeting this week, and so we're going to meet for breakfast on Thursday. We're so excited, Team Jennifer in the flesh. And then my girls that I raised my kids with in Houston. I don't get to see them, but we've set a date for a little weekend time this summer, and so I'm pretty excited about that. I'm going to put on music while you work on this. We want to celebrate the things that the week brought your way, and if you need any support, just drop that in the chat. Oh, we will take picturs for sure, Lori, and they'll be in Sonder Club, and it'll probably be in my rose. My rose for next week. All righty, let's work on this prompt together. All right. I'm so glad that you were able to look back over the week, find the gratitude, even within the thorns. Was there a lesson learned? Was there a takeaway so that maybe something doesn't happen again? My takeaway is I've got to try to prioritize bedtime when those kids are over here. But yeah, anyway, I celebrate Alice is gonna Alice, you're gonna have a sleepover Camp Grand Happy in your house. Yeah, it'll wear you out though. Those early mornings. Y'all, my grandson, who is 3, will wake up at 2 in the morning and need to poop. And he does. So it's just like, oh, I've got to sleep. Anyway, that was too much information, but I'm so excited for y'all, new jobs and things to look forward to. That's just so good. All righty. So y'all, I am going to encourage you to share your weekly planner, but we're changing things up quite a bit this morning. So you may or may not want to work on your pages this week. Right now, you might want to just look at the slides. So, what I've done is I've put together a ton of inspiration for both of our pages, and I'll show you some examples of how people worked that in. And then I'm going to show you all this inspo, and then we'll stop and we're going to work on both of our pages at the same time instead of breaking everything down. I'm not going to do this every week, but I thought let's just change things up just a smidge this week. So are y'all ready? Here we go. Something new your way. So I wanted to start with calling out those bingo challenges that are in the Silk and Sonder app. And so there are games that you can access. You hit the little game and you go to the bingo challenges. And this is such a great place to find inspiration for your weekly setups every week. So I wanted to specifically call out the bingo challenge for June Silk and Sonder. What that one means is that it's all the tackling all the things in your journal. It's like doing your setting 3 goals, filling out your habit tracker, doing the different journal prompts. And so that's a great one. You don't have to, you can just take a look at it and maybe some of the inspiration from that will show up in your journal. But also there is a June flow bingo board, which you might want to do. I mean, what if you write something like, let the day unfold naturally? What if you approach a weekend day with that mindset? Or move in a way that feels good. Say yes to lightness. So there's some really good flow inspiration that you can find in that bingo challenge. And you might end up incorporating it in a way that you create a little mini bingo in your weekly setup. And you might have the same things in both places so that you can win on the app but also win in your journal. So there's a couple of examples of bingos there. The bottom one is a birthday bingo. If there's any birthday gals in the house, be sure to say me. We'd love to wish you happy birthday. Also, over there on the right, is an artist date with yourself bingo, which is currently in the app. And I had mentioned an artist date at last week's setup. This is such a good way to find your flow, to just take this time to be with yourself and do something that kind of enchants you. It's going to be different for everyone. An artist date is inspired from the book The Artist's Way, and it's written by Julia Cameron. And that's her quote up there that says it has 2 parts, artist and date. So you choose something enchanting to you. That's the first step. And then the second is you don't stand yourself up. And it could be as simple as just going for a little coffee date, right? But I've got some little solo date ideas there for you. And oh, Erica, so when you go to the Silk and Sonder Silk and Sonder app. You're going to click on Silk and Sonder, and then you go all the way to, this might be blurred, all the way down to here, and it says games. Click on games, and that will take you to the bingos. All right, so there's some ideas for any of the spaces that you might need, you decide might need a little artist date love. We've got some great calendars here. You don't have to follow each day. Like this is, it's, 15 minutes self-care ideas for June. Um, Today's is take a quick nap. That not might not work in your schedule, but maybe you put that down for Saturday. So draw some inspiration from these calendars. I have actually been doing these new calendars that Silk and Sonder have put out that they are putting out on Instagram and on the Facebook page, this 30 days of flow. So I'm embracing the theme. And I am using my meal plan to write those reflection pieces on the meal plan. So that's a good place to put those things. And then y'all remember summer reading program, right? When you were a kid. Let's build our own summer reading program. Find a way to reward yourself. Something simple. But maybe every 5 books you read, you do a little something sweet for yourself. It could just be you reward yourself with an artist date. But look at all the ways folks are using their journal to make sure that reading is a priority. They're creating reading logs. They're putting it in their habit and activity tracker. They're creating a bingo that includes their bookish time. This summer reading bucket list is a great way. It's from the New York Times book review, and it's just a fun way to maybe inspire the book choices that you make. And I've got a second slide. This is as you can tell, I'm always saying, get your library card, use your library card. Audiobooks count. But we've got, this bucket list bookish spring edition. And I love like buddy read with a friend. Like what about having a mini book club with just a bestie? And then y'all finish that and go have coffee. Or read a pastel cover book. So fun things to plug into some of these spaces if reading is something that's important to you. You can see the repurposed expense tracker is actually going to be a book list. What does it look like if that becomes your summer reading list? So would love for you to do that. Um, the spoon theory can show up in your setup. I talked to this last week a little bit. This is actually from the world of chronic disease, that it's the idea that okay, you start your day with 10 spoons, and it's sort of like a bank account of your energy. We can all learn and have takeaways from this. So on one day a shower may cost you 1 spoon, but if it's a day where your energy is lacking, you don't feel flow, it might cost you 3 spoons to do your shower and your morning ritual and routine, which means now you have 7 spoons left for the rest of the day. It's this awareness of how we are tapping into our own energy and understanding we might not get as much done because it's not a great spoon day. So I want you to consider maybe how this could play into your journal. And I love the graphic on the right, way over on the right in that greenish spot. It says, be sure you wash your spoons. And what does that mean? Sleep, eat, be gentle to yourself, and draw on support of others. What if those show up as your habits and your activities for the week? That you have leaned on the support of others, that you were just gentle to yourself. So I love this idea of spoons. We all have this amount of energy, and it's okay. Like one day may be great, and you're like, you know what? I've got extra spoons because it's not costing me much to do anything. But other days, if our flow isn't in check, some simple things just may feel like it takes more. And that's because it did. And so be gentle to yourself. Yeah, we overspend on spoons. So maybe that shows up in your to-do list. Remember your spoons. Then I've got examples of this for our habit and activity tracker, but it's when we're really focusing on those happiness chemicals, the dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins. Perfect way to be in flow is to tap into the things that will drench our brains with these good chemicals. So perhaps you work this into your setup. We often talk about all the digital stuff that's in our life. And so this is a great from Positively Present. It's an account I follow. You're going to want to curate your feeds for the good stuff. This is a good way, some ideas of doing that. But think about are you distracted by social media? There's an example where it says distractions. And you can see instead of Facebook and Instagram, this person's going to go to Sonder Club and or journal. Instead of game apps and Minesweeper, they're going to go work on a hobby. And instead of just mindlessly checking email, they're going to focus on learning something by reading a research article. So, kind of subbing in. It's like swapping, like, when we want to eat better, we swap the sweets for fruit. It's the same sort of thing. I'm going to be on my devices, but I'm swapping the stuff that's not good for me with stuff that's better for me. But then there's also the idea of a digital declutter. And so maybe each day you spend time cleaning up that digital profile that you have, cleaning up emails, cleaning out photos, making sure that everything you have in your life is relevant to you. So this is a good challenge for a space in your journal this week. Let's see. Oh, we always love those glimmers, the opposite of triggers, the things that are going to brighten your day. It's those little moments. Like imagine turning on the light and thinking, thank you for the light, or the water that pours out of our shower. It's just that time of being very mindful with the things that might already exist, but we've been so busy that we haven't stopped to look at it or to take that first sip of coffee and think, Mmm, this is good. And when we can find those things, we find flow. We are happier. We've got 30 days of self-care, and I split this calendar up so that you're able to see these. I love the little emoticons with them, but all of these things, again, a step into finding your flow. Janine, I love that. You had a beautiful sky to look at last night, and it was your glimmer, your little highlight. Perhaps you do a self-care tracker in your mind body health plan like this person did. I always call that our selfish space, the mind body health space. There's some more for this. And remember, I'm going to go back through all of these so you can grab screenshots and work them in. This person actually did goals, mind, body, soul for self-care. And so perhaps these two little bits of calendar can inspire those spaces. We've got a 30-day challenge of decluttering. We always talk about decluttering the house, getting rid of our extras, our cleaning list, our to-do list. So look at the different ways folks have incorporated cleaning and decluttering. So you see it showing up in the to-do list. And this person made a cute little drawing just to make it a little more palatable, a little more fun. We've got house management in our intentions, changed from money management. So focusing on decluttering and cleaning in small bursts. So if that's going on for you, Genevieve, I'm laughing. I'm wondering if you have a kitty cat with you that's walking on your keyboard. We've got it showing up in our habit and activity tracker. Maybe you create a clean bingo, like you see that example there, or a little chart, home org chart. No, no apologies, Genevieve. I always laugh. And then the meal plan for this declutter plan the meal plan's been repurposed as a declutter plan, and they've broken their house sections down in where they want to go. And I love like Tuesday, foot of the bed. And that's a space for me that catches clutter because I have a trunk and the pile just magically grows. It's a very specific, gonna tackle that, right? That foot of the bed. So I love how specific that one is. Then, of course, we talk often about the seven types of rest. This is a really good time as we are thinking about flow and energy and where it's flowing to tap in to where you might need creative rest, social rest. And social rest can be different. If you're an introvert, it means maybe you withdraw a little bit from social. If you're an extrovert, you may seek out those positive social experiences with lots of people. So study those types of rests. Figure out maybe you lack in one area, so it shows up somewhere in your journal where you are devoting a whole week to your mental rest. Or you kind of dabble in all of the types of rest. So Jen's dropped a great link there about the seven types of rest. There's an example of a meal planner that's been repurposed to focus on those seven types of rest. But there's a lot of ideas here to get you going. And I love this graphic because it says when we should take a break, and the gas gauge is just past half. And then the other one is when we actually take a break. And it's like when we're on empty. And some of you have already said as you examined your flow and your energy that you need that break. So how does this look somewhere in your spaces this week? Is this become part of your three major goals? Maybe it's your complete to-do list is your seven types of rest. All right. I'm going to go through our planner very quickly and show you some more just examples by section, and then I'm going to put on music and we're going to just go with both pages. So we are on pages 32 and 33 this week. We want to start off with how are you needing to feel? You've already done that check with yourself for our mind map, where our energy is. So think about that and then find that word that you need for the week. Please drop that in the chat. What do you feel for some? I love that song, fruitful. That's huge, right? And it can look so different, whether it's for self, whether it's for what you do in the world. Drop those in the chat, those words inspired, safer. I love that, Genevieve. Constructive. Nicole's on summer. I'm home for the summer. Let's get go. Let's do this. Alice wants to be present, has those grandkids coming. Kai says lighter, relaxed. Oh, Jennifer, perfect for flow. Maybe you want to feel flow this week and you just take our theme. So let's drop that in that feeling spot, and then we'll take that into the weekly goals and to-dos. This is that slide that we share with a lot of reminders. Go check. What did you say you wanted to start, stop, and continue? And how can that inform how you set these spaces up? What do your intentions say? Be sure to go look at that. I've told you when I first started doing Silk and Sonder, I'd spend a lot of time on intentions and then forget to go back and hold myself accountable to them. So here's your invitation to do so. How can you prioritize flow? We have these categories for just popping these categories in your goals, and then you do the thing underneath that speaks to you. Maybe you need some no goals in your life. What do you need to say no to? Now, let's look at some great examples. I've got their word that they wanted, and then the examples of how they set up their goals and their to-dos. And you can see this top one is tied directly into each other, the goals and the to-dos with little mini trackers on the to-do list for checking off. And then we've got a bingo board below that. And I'm digging this bingo board because massage is on there and nails done. It's a very, very self-care centric bingo board. We've got another bingo. It's a ta-da bingo, and it's just how you're going to feel when all these things are done. I love the stickers there. And then the one on the bottom, I laugh because her word for the week, it's all F words. So, taking those F words into focusing on four goals: mind, home, body, home, mind, and soul, and color coded it with the to-dos to support those things. So the color coding is very nice visually. And then we've got I need more of something and less of something. And again, those goals tied in to the to-dos like personal relationships. And I love she's going to do a little check mark when she's had her movie date, her lunch date, and catch up with John. So love that. And then the one at the bottom, business, home life, and health, color coded again, and a little mini tracker in those to-dos. Then we have the habit and activity section on the bottom of that first page. And I love this top example because their one activity is to check the monthly habits. So they're really focusing on that habit tracker wheel in the front of their journal. They want to dedicate their time and energy to that. And so that's the only thing that's showing up on this tracker for them. The one below it, all about a good affirmation and going to say these affirmations on the daily. So maybe that's what you need as we consider flow. Maybe go back and look at last week's and take your top five and pop them in this habit and activity section. And then I shared the dose idea, the dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. There are two examples of how you could incorporate that into this tracker, and you track by spelling the word dose. You might also just find a five-letter word or however many you're tracking that just speaks to you like peace, the one in the upper left. And this, I love this because if it didn't happen, instead of leaving it blank, it's just a little heart. Like I acknowledge it didn't happen today. That's part of my story. Moving on. Nicole, thank you for sharing that. The bottom right, love that, using that dose. And then the one in the bottom left, we're not tracking with a number or anything. They're just going to track. So they've covered up the goal. So you can use a number that you need to happen, whatever. Then we've got these habit tracker ideas for the month of flow. Now I'm going to show you some examples of the second page because you can swap all these out and put them where you need them. But here's a couple of great examples. This person is focusing on a scripture every day. The other person is going to write their affirmation in this spot. As I shared, I'm going to use that flow calendar from Silk and Sonder, and I'm writing out what the day is in each one of my meal plan spaces. Mind, body, health is stickers for one, and then just a kind of this fun little mini wheel, if you will, with things to do, and you can color those in using a quote to guide the week in the shopping list, or again, more stickers. My always says stickers need their destiny fulfilled. You need to stick them. Here's a really cute little gnome meal plan. So you can use the meal plan as a meal plan, as you see here. Or you can repurpose. Cassie, I've shared this before. Cassie's husband does her little drawings to her every week. But I thought, what if you left this space blank or a space blank for someone important in your life? And this could be that connection. It doesn't have to be a drawing. Maybe somebody just writes you a note in the shopping list every week, and then you can kind of repay with a little note. It could be a great little communication tool to write back and forth. But Cassie, we love the illustration. So it makes everybody so happy when you post those. And then you can see the one next to Cassie's is just some reminders of self to create good boundaries. Go outside for 10 minutes. If we're not careful, we spend all day long inside. Turn off your tech by 9 o'clock. I love how it's tied to a time. So those are really good. Okay. Yes, Marissa, I knew there was somebody who wrote notes. So, yeah, and I couldn't find my example. Marissa's husband writes her a little note. So talk about a connection piece. Very gentle, right? Leave it out. There's a pen, right, but they need to be kind. Here's some more examples of repurposing that: workout stats, a wellness plan, delightful life. Think about all those ideas I showed you. Perhaps that show they something of that. Maybe your glimmers show up here, something like that, or your summer reading book club. Mind body health plan. I love these. Again, we love a good graph or a grid or a bingo. The one in the bottom middle, I love that. It's kind of like a menu. And then the days that those happen, you can draw lines from the day to those things that they're going to do for self. And I love, we always talk about getting lost in the video stuff, but look, video game time, giving themselves permission to do that. And then, of course, we have the shopping list where lots of grids and graphs and bingos show up there. So maybe you go look at the Silk and Sonder app and you create a little mini bingo. So lots of talking. We're going to go through those slide decks again, and y'all work on your 2 pages and let us know if you're trying something new this week. All right, friends. The thing about these socials is we find our flow and they go by so quickly. But this has been recorded. So if you missed grabbing a screenshot of something you wanted to see again, you can go to the recording. Jen is dropping that link in the chat. And then the beautiful thing about the recording, we don't have the chats, but we do have the ability to pause and grab information that we might want to incorporate into our journal this week. And we are just so proud of you for stopping by and hanging out and playing with us this morning. Again, I'm going to scroll through those so I can get to those announcements one more time. We want to see your journal. Remember that mid-year reset. Sign up for that with Meha. Maya's going to be hanging out in the chat that night. I'm going to go back and watch the replay because I can't make it. I had something else going on. If you are needing to do a little mid-year check-in with yourself and you need that accountability, let's take a look at this challenge for the week. And then there's our music from this morning. We're proud of you for joining us, friends. We'll see you soon. Lots of light and love sent your way.